Today I have a quote that I want to start off with before I go into my reading. um, so this is a quote from Nicolas Chamfort, who was a French writer who survived the revolution barely. He wrote with dark realism and sarcasm. The quote is a reminder that being happy isn't an option, but a requirement. In an era of grand culture, that's radical advice. His quote is: the most wasted of all days is one without laughter. That was done in the 1700s when he said that. So, with that little bit of advice that he's given us, I found something on Facebook that I found quite funny in some parts, nostalgic, and I hope you will enjoy it. Ever wonder about all the sayings or words that seem to be lost as we grow older? Let's look at a few of these words. Do you remember the word Murgatroyd? Spell checkers doesn't even recognize that word. Our computers are confused. Heavens to Murgatroyd. The other day, a not so old lady said something to her son about driving a jalopy, and he looked at her quizzically and said, "What the heck is a jalopy?" He never heard of the word jalopy. She knew she was old, but not that old. Some old expressions that have become obsolete because of the march of technology. They include phrases such as, "Don't touch that dial," "carbon copy," "You sound like a broken record," and "hung out to dry." Remember when we had lots of moxie and we put on our best bib and tucker to straighten up and fly right? Heaven to Heavens to Betsy, gee willikers, jumpin' Jehoshaphat, holy moly. We were in like Flynn and living the life of Riley. And even a regular guy couldn't accuse us of being a knucklehead, a nincompoop, or a pill. Not for all the tea in China. Way back, life used to be swell. But when's the last time anything was swell? Swell has gone the way of beehives, page boys, and the DA, of spats, knickers, fedoras, poodle skirts, saddle shoes, and pedal pushers. Oh, my aching back. Kilroy was here, but he isn't anymore. We wake up from what surely has been just a short nap, and before we can say, "Well, I'll be a monkey's uncle," or "This is a fine kettle of fish," we discovered that the words we grew up with have vanished. Poof go the words of your youth. The words have been left behind. We blink and they're gone. Long gone, and our words and phrases like pshaw, "the milkman did it," "Hey, it's your nickel," "Don't forget to pull the chain," "Knee high to a grasshopper," "Well, fiddlesticks," "Going like 60," "I'll see you in the funny papers," "Don't take any wooden nickels," "Wake up and smell the roses." It seems that there are more of these lost words and expressions than Carter has liver pills. This is disturbing. We of a certain age have been blessed to live in changeable times. For a child, each new word is like a shiny toy, a toy that has no age. We at the other end of the chronological arc have the advantage of remembering there are words that once did not exist, and there were words that once strutted their hour upon the earthly stage, and now are heard no more, except in our collective memory. It's one of the great advantages of aging. We're left to wonder where Superman will find a phone booth. But just consider that no one will ever have the opportunity again for such a great change in wording and phrases. We, at least, most of us, are children of the fabulous 50s. We have been given one of life's most precious gifts, our memories. I still call the fridge an icebox from time to time. That's what Mama used to call it. So that's what I call it. The lost words from our childhood are gone as fast as the buggy whip. Sad, really. Well, I hope you are hunky dory after you heard this and chuckle. See you later, alligator. Okie dokie. God bless you all. Thank you.
was first asked or told to do the talk, I wanted to get up here and preach about the dangers of AI from the standpoint of someone who's techie, like myself. But I also wanted to address it from a spiritual point of view, especially after seeing the video of Suzanne Sommers' husband's AI recreation of his deceased wife, which, by the way, looks nothing like her. But her voice, her thoughts, which were taken from her books that she wrote, were all downloaded into this movable mannequin like figure. And honestly, for myself, I thought, how sad. And to the extent that we've taken it, and how far will we go with it? There is a natural order to things, and I don't think that that's it. Why is it that we're so afraid to die at the end of our lives? As spiritualists, we do talk a lot about death and try to bring forward messages from spirit to bring comfort and take comfort in the knowledge that we go on and that our loved ones are okay. Hopefully, so that we understand that we'll be okay too when our time comes. We need to normalize death and have conversations so that it's not something to be feared. It's an honor to exist and have these experiences in our humanness, but we're not meant to live forever, nor would most of us want to. It's okay to return home to RIP, which I like to refer to as recuperate in paradise, and how wonderful it is to be reunited with all the loved ones that we grieved so hard when we lost them. What an amazing reunion that'll be one day. And I know that I look forward to it. When I talked to my friend Barb and threw out some ideas about my talk today, and I said I didn't want to be the town crier. I didn't want to get up here and shout warnings about the dangers of AI, although I'm happy to give them to you if you ever want to hear them. And then she later just sent me a text that simply said, live for the journey, not the destination. And I was like, ooh. And she said I should talk about that. It sounded like a good topic, and at first I thought she should have saved that idea for herself.
I got something else planned.
Spoiler alert, we may just have her debut her very first talk next week. So I put it out there so she can't weasel her way out of it. And then I realized after reading those words that I might have a different take on it. So she may still be able to share that idea if she chooses to. And we hear this phrase a lot. Life is about the journey, not the destination. The phrase itself is often misattributed to Ralph Waldo Emerson, but actually first appeared in a 1920 publication by theologian Lynn Hugh. The concept has been in many forms of literature and philosophy, which reinforces the notion that experiences we gather shapes who we are. So from a philosophical standpoint, it encourages us to embrace the ups and downs, to recognize that challenges and setbacks are an integral part of our personal development. There are no mistakes, only lessons to be learned. It's in the journey itself where we find meaning, connection, and growth. And just a little side note that we should recognize that we're all learning and growing. We may not have the perfect solution or the perfect words for every situation, so perhaps we need to allow a little more grace and compassion when somebody gets it wrong. And I would also extend that to ourselves. How many times have we said or done something that we later regretted? It wasn't necessarily a purposeful, malicious act, but sometimes just out of concern for another. How many times have you been misunderstood in your lifetime? I bet quite a few, because I know I have. We need to really see each other, flaws and all, and to allow that grace to be what guides us. Everything isn't necessarily a personal attack or a trauma to your psyche. Sometimes it's just about learning to navigate our big emotions so we're better prepared for the next time a similar situation arises. So in embracing our journey with gratitude, for embracing our journey with gratitude for the opportunity for our existence, we can find the joys along the way and have a more full and meaningful life. When we learn to look at what we have and not covet that which belongs to another, then we can discover contentment in all things. So, in this scenario, the journey is crucial to our development and perhaps the main reason why we're here in the first place. But from a spiritual standpoint, I also interpret it to mean that our journey ultimately leads us to the final destination. It leads us back home again, back to being the most purest forms of ourselves after shedding these physical bodies. Perhaps, perhaps death isn't a punishment, but rather a reward for a life well lived, a reprieve for many. Just before my grandmother passed almost 32 years ago, I went to visit her the afternoon right before. I remember her telling me that she was ready to go, that she lived a long life and that she was tired. Of course, I told her it was okay to go, that we loved her, and that we'd be okay. Sometimes giving someone permission to go is the kindest act of compassion that we can offer. And as I'm getting older myself, I can understand what she meant by being tired. At some point, I think she just accepted that she was done. She was ready for rest. In 1854, the Sunday at Home, a family magazine for Sabbath reading, printed a page for the young that included the following statement: "You should learn in early youth that your life is a journey, not a rest. You are traveling to the promised land from the cradle to the grave." In 1855, another religious publication stated, "All life is a journey, not a home. It is a road, not the country. And those transient enjoyments which you have in this life, lawful in their way, those incidental and evanescent pleasures which you may sip, are not home. They are little inns only upon the roadside of life, where you are refreshed for a moment, that you may take again the pilgrim staff and journey on, seeking what is still before you, the rest that remaineth for the people of God." So, in these examples, is it not the journey truly about the final destination? Isn't the journey really about living a good, honest, compassionate, and loving existence so that we can return home content that we gave it our all and tried our best not to hurt others, but rather helped as many as we could along the way? Life is not a race, but rather a journey. We each travel at our own pace. Do not envy another's nor use it as a gauge for your own. Don't judge it, just enjoy it. Those are my thoughts, perhaps not perfect or concise at every turn, but they come directly from my mind and my heart, always inspired by spirit. They are not AI, nor will they ever be. I will always share my original thoughts until I'm too tired, and maybe then and only then I'll consider letting AI replace me, but probably not, as there can only be one you and one me, and no one can ever replace the genuine connections that we share. So thank you for listening.
Thank you.
And another day I will preach about AI. Think about it just for a minute. Even our gadgets and everything, along came calculators, and we no longer had to do math in our heads. And people forgot or aren't as quick. But the thing, you're talking about all these different things. When we were young, we didn't have cell phones where our numbers were plugged in. What happened to all of those numbers that we used to memorize? Literally, all of your friends, your parents, everybody's phone number, work numbers, this number, that number. And I couldn't even tell you my husband's phone number. I don't even. So we kind of dummy down just a little bit because something else is taken over. But again, another soapbox for another day.